Even though it applies only to the upper 1%, in my opinion, it's sort of like changing the rules in the middle of a game.
During last year's campaign, this group endorsed Maloney's opponent, incumbent Bill Green, but Maloney eked out a 4,000-vote victory. These women of Hadassah now seem willing to work with their new representative.
You may want our help.
We need your help.
And I believe you have to, really, you have to ask us for your help, and we will see that our constituency also is involved in this, because it's for us, the American people.
Unlike New York's ethnically and economically diverse 14th congressional district, the 13th district here in Pennsylvania is, for the most part, white, well-to-do, and Republican. Not surprisingly, many of the people who live here and vote here are not big fans of the president's economic plan, nor of their member of Congress, whose vote was so key to passing it.
The recent vote is a little bit of a shock because she changed her original position.
She made a lot of promises that she would stand for her constituents in the area, and she's really not. I think it was a dangerous move for her. She said she was going to vote against it, last-minute change of mind. It's a Republican district. I think it was risky.
The subject of all that negative feeling is another freshman Democrat, Marjorie Margolis-Mezvinsky.
I looked at it, I said, what do I have to do? I mean, it's not about being popular, it's about doing the right thing.
Margolis-Mezvinsky is a former television news reporter and mother of 11, who last year was elected by only a 1,300-vote margin in an area that hadn't sent a Democrat to Congress since 1916. Pennsylvania's 13th district encompasses such old money communities as Gladwin and Ardmore that run west from Philadelphia along its fabled main line. Here, Republicans outnumber Democrats 2-1. But Margolis-Mezvinsky benefited from the so-called Year of the Woman, as well as a reputation as a centrist Democrat. Now she is at the center of press and public attention for casting the 218th and winning vote for the president's economic plan. On Tuesday, she went to the Green Acres nursing home to explain herself.
I just wanted to tell you a little bit about why all these people are here and what happened last week. The president called, and he basically said to me, what would it take? And I said that what it would take for me would be an honest conversation about something that is so politically unpopular that we've simply never had it. And that is talking about Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, and Social Security. And I told him that I would like to have a conference. It didn't necessarily have to be in this district, but a conference where he would be there, where members of the cabinet would come, where leaders in Congress would come. And then we discussed it at length, and he said he would come into our community and talk about it. And because of that, and I thought it was fundamentally the right thing to do, I voted for the president's package.
I think it has taken an enormous amount of courage to do what Marjorie did. And she did it not only for us, but for the country. I think that she's going to go down in history, and I'm very proud of her.
It's a pleasure to have somebody who represents us come down and talk to us about the various things that go on in Washington and how things develop, and also what our representatives are doing for us. After all, we elected you.
But not everyone who heard the Congresswoman was persuaded.
She ran on the program that she would not raise or help us out with taxes, that she wasn't going to vote for a tax increase. And I think she has a lot of explaining now. This isn't campaigning, she's in deep.
Would you all please stand?
Following her morning in Manhattan, Maloney was back in Washington, where she and other Democrats received praise for voting for the deficit reduction bill.
If you go home and look your people in the eye and tell them you were willing to put your job on the line so that they can keep their jobs, I think they will understand and reward you with re-election.
Congresswoman Maloney herself admitted her vote for the president's plan was playing to mixed reviews.
One thing that's interesting is the depth of feeling. There's no in-between. They're either for it or against it.
But despite the fact that she cast the winning vote, Congresswoman Margolis-Mezvinsky did not attend the bill signing ceremony. Could it be construed as your needing to be here to control the damage of your vote?
Well, if the question is, are there questions that need to be answered here? Absolutely.
Let's go.
Thank you.
But for now, both congresswomen hope to escape the public eye for a few days during this congressional recess before resuming the time-consuming task of explaining their votes.
I did.
Finally tonight, as Pope John Paul II celebrated World Youth Day in Denver, Time magazine religion writer Richard Ostling asked 4 of the estimated 170,000 participants to share their views on the Pope and the church he heads.
After 30 hours on the road, a 16-bus convoy from Ohio arrived at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Denver. Among the hundreds of passengers was Celeste Gregory. She and her friends came to participate in World Youth Day, the most spectacular gathering of young Catholics ever held in America. It was time for summer fun combined with worship and contemplation on what it means to be Catholic. Gregory, who just graduated from Franciscan University, is deeply committed to the authority of Pope John Paul and the Church's traditional teachings at a time when both are under attack.
He gets a lot of flack from the Catholic Church in America, and I'd like to be one more number there saying, I love you, Holy Father. Keep it up. We love you. We support you. We want to encourage you.
Papal authority has always defined what it means to be Catholic, and it was the person of John Paul II that attracted the throng to Denver from around the world. However, large numbers of the American participants have mixed feelings, loving and respecting the Pope while at the same time asserting the right to differ with him. Manny Lim, a lay campus minister from Missouri, was part of the youth delegation that officially greeted the Pope.
I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but I do certainly place his authority in the highest respect.
What would be several of the important things on which you would disagree with him?
Boy, there are a lot.
Denver was the second World Youth Day for Christina Kircher, a theology graduate student at a university in Ohio. At her first, 2 years ago in Poland, she felt reverence for the Pope.
You really understood what it means to say that the Pope is Christ's representative on earth. There was such a sense of holiness and love emanating from him.
But the same event also confirmed her opposition to church tradition and the Pope's views on the role of women.
When you looked up on the altar where they were celebrating the papal liturgies, there had to be over 100 bishops and priests and cardinals on that stage. All male, primarily white. And then when you looked out into the crowd, it was people of every color and ethnicity, both genders represented, and there was such a gulf between the people on the stage and the people in the crowd, and something clicked in my mind, said this is not right. All of us in the crowd should be able to see ourselves mirrored up on that stage.
Committed Catholics asking such questions lie at the heart of a fundamental change that's happening in the American church, especially among its younger members who feel free to decide which teachings they'll follow. For traditional Catholics, there can be no such questions.
The Pope teaches what Christ taught and what has been transmitted through tradition, through Scripture, and so forth. So it's not his teaching, it's Christ's teaching, and he's being faithful to Christ's teaching. So when people have trouble with that, they're not having trouble with John Paul II. They're having trouble with everything he represents, which is ultimately Christ and what he's taught.
But Catholics like Christina Kircher and Manny Lim believe questions must be asked and that the new generation must define anew what it means to be Catholic in a future American church.
What would Jesus do? He would show hospitality and welcome the full participation of married men, of gay men, of lesbian women, of divorced and remarried people, of youth, of refugees. He would welcome all of us.
Kircher and a small number of others skipped the official opening mass of World Youth Day to attend a rally featuring feminist Ruth Fitzpatrick and other Catholic critics of the hierarchy. Kircher thinks equality for women is vital for the future.
Women have so many unique gifts and talents that are not being utilized by their church, and they'd like to offer those to the church. So I think the church needs to start thinking more inclusively, and how can we broaden the group of people we select from to be in leadership positions? How can we think outside those who are ordained?
Manny Lim disagrees with official church policy on women and on such matters as the church's opposition to all homosexual activity. Unlike most of these youths, he also questions the church's stand against all abortions.
If a student came to me for counseling, I wouldn't recommend that they have an abortion. I mean, I would certainly recommend all the other options. But I recognize that in some cases it's not viable to bring a child to term and to raise it.
Hi, I'm Christina.
There's far more dissent against official teaching on birth control than on abortion.
I think that we need to form our conscience in light of, not according to, church teaching, which means taking church teaching seriously, examining it, and trying to determine what our conscience tells us we should do. And I think that a well-formed conscience or conscience decision to use birth control is not sinful or wrong if it's done responsibly.
Not surprisingly, Celeste Gregory disagrees.
I believe that contraception makes a lie out of love. I think that when a man and a woman come together in sexual intercourse, they're saying to each other, I give myself totally to you, entirely, physically, spiritually, everything. And yet when they contracept, they're holding something back. They're holding back the life-giving power of their love. When a man and woman come together in that way, the love between them is so strong and so real that 9 months later they may have to give it a name. And to contracept is to block that.
She also believes that all the disagreements among Catholics are harmful.
I think it's had a destructive effect. People saying, well, you don't have to believe what the church teaches. You can do whatever you want. So instead of embracing the richness and the beauty and the joy and the love of being in the church, they're too busy disagreeing with everything.
Another long-running dispute concerns whether the church should allow married priests. Manny Lim is considering becoming a brother in the Marianist order under a vow of celibacy. And on this question, he's no critic of tradition.
I tend to think that even if celibacy were optional, that there wouldn't be a tremendous change in the number of people you would see coming in for religious vocations. I think it would still stay around the same number. It's not one issue or another that I think is going to draw people in or send them away. I think it's the model that those who are in religious life are setting for those who are not.
A different outlook comes from Hugo de la Rosa, who attended World Youth Day with his girlfriend, Leticia Martinez. Hugo, who's a college senior from San Antonio, would join the priesthood if he could be married at the same time.
I personally feel that having married priests would ease a lot of the problems that we're having. I really do feel it would be an advantage for the church as a whole.
He's also concerned that so many of his fellow Hispanics are leaving their Catholic heritage to become Protestants. He's been involved with the charismatic or neo-Pentecostal movement that's developed within the Catholic Church and thinks its exuberant and evangelical style can have special appeal to Hispanics.
When the only spiritual nourishment a Hispanic is getting is going to a set and ordered mass, that's very good. But for a lot of people, there's also something lacking. That depth or that warmth or that excitement. Now, a lot of the fundamental or Protestant churches, especially the Pentecostal ones, they offer that to people.
Whatever their disagreements, these young Catholics, like many others who came to Denver, unite on some things. They all believe the church's message against sex before marriage is vital for youth to hear. They think the church must do more to reach out and educate its young members. And they're all proud to be Catholic. The faith is built into their very identity and provides an ongoing personal resource that's available nowhere else.
Catholicism draws me into a community, which draws me closer to God. It's a community in which I can celebrate the Eucharist, receive the body and blood of Christ, and be part of a faith commitment, be part of a group of people that's trying to live out the gospel, trying to live out the radical message that Jesus left us. And it's a tradition which defines my history, my family, my community, and who I am and how I think. I can't imagine not being Catholic.
When I was 10, my father was shot and killed in his office, and certainly that would be, I think that would be something where someone growing up could say, how could there possibly be a God who would allow something like this to happen? Leaving a wife and 4 young children behind. And in retrospect, I think there's always been something, even if I haven't been able to put a name to it or put a finger on it, there's always been something that has kept me centered, to say that there's hope for something better after this, and that there are reasons for why things happen like this. And I may not ever know the reasons, but I have to trust, and that's part of what I think faith is. It's an ongoing process.
My speech was too long. But now I have finished. I have finished. With great joy, I look forward to our next meeting. Hasta la vista.
On Sunday, 500,000 worshipers in Denver are expected to attend a Mass with Pope John Paul.
Again, the major stories of this Friday: American, Mexican, and Canadian trade negotiators have agreed on side accords to the North American Free Trade Agreement. And UN officials in Bosnia said Serb forces had made new commitments to withdraw from the mountains around Sarajevo. Good night and goodbye, Robin.
Goodbye, Roger. As you leave us again to go back to your teaching job at Princeton, I'd like to thank you for helping us out so handsomely these past 2 months. That's the NewsHour for tonight. We'll see you again on Monday night. I'm Robert MacNeil. Good night.
Major funding for the MacNeil-Lehrer NewsHour has been provided by the Archer Daniels Midland Company, ADM, supermarket to the world. And by New York Life, yet another example of New York Life's wise investment philosophy. Funding has also been provided by PepsiCo. And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by the annual financial support from viewers like you.
Video cassettes of the MacNeil-Lehrer NewsHour are available from PBS Video. Call 1-800-328-PBS-1.
This is PBS.
Funding for the MacNeil-Lehrer NewsHour has been provided by ODS Health Plan, the group medical plan that meets the needs of more than 600,000 Oregonians by providing a broad range of medical and dental coverage and responsive service.